Hi, it's Phil Turner from Timeform. Looking at the handicaps at the Cheltenham Festival this year. The weights were released earlier this week, and we've had an early look at the ones few names we think are sort of coming out with the best chance on our ratings. Some at sort of the shorter end of the betting, and a few sort of bigger price ones as well. Now we're looking at sort of handicap good things. I'm guessing a last time out winner carrying top weight wouldn't sort of fit the profile of a handicap good thing, but I think there are grounds for thinking that Vindication in the Ultima handicap chase on the Tuesday actually is still a fair bit ahead of the assessor. He's totally unexposed over staying trips. His win at Ascot in the autumn reads very well now. He was a comprehensive defeat of course specialist Regal Encore with that great sort of reliable sort Black Thornton caught him back in third, and the form looks really solid. He's a horse if you look back to his novice form from last season, he was a good third behind Defi de Sur and Lost in Translation at Sandown, and a line through that, it puts him in with a very good chance of a BHA marker 159. He's not far off Gold Cup class. He wouldn't look out of his place in a Gold Cup field. You could see him staying in contention for a long way, but he wouldn't win it. But you could see him finding things very easy in a race like this, sitting in the first sort of 4 or 5, as he did at Ascot. And provided his jumping holds up, he's got a very wheeling attitude, and his stamina could kick in late on. And around 7 to 1, I know he's amongst the favourites. I think he's a very solid option. So that's Vindication in the Ultima chase. That's the first handicap chase of the meeting. The last handicap chase of the meeting is the Grand Annual. And I'm afraid, again, I'm going for one of the favourites, but Grenadine of Paul Nicholls, very strong on this one. And as I say, although he's the favourite, I think 8 to 1 could look a very big price come the Friday of Festival week. He's won 5 of his 8 starts, including all 3 over fences so far, and touch wood, his jumping has looked electric so far, really good. Of those 3 wins, the one at Musselburgh in particular looks particularly solid form. The placed horses both came into it at the top of their game, and he just swept them aside with ease. He holds an entry in the Arkle as well, and I think he probably would run well in that should he turn up in it, but it sounds like they're going for the Grand Annual. And in a race where there's not that many unexposed horses, it's a race where novices actually do have a decent record. I say, the way he's jumped so far, I can't see inexperience being a huge factor, and as I say, 8 to 1 looks a really good price. So Grenadine in the Grand Annual. I should mention that 2 other horses who sort of caught my eye in the Grand Annual, both trained by Alan King, Lisp and Ballywood. I can see both of them running well. And he's got another horse entered up in handicap chases who I think could go well, and that's Dayran de Carjac, who's entered in 2 of the races of the intermediate trip. He's in the novice handicap on the Tuesday, but if he were mine, I'd aim him at the Brown Advisory Plate on the Thursday. To be honest, he probably wouldn't want the ground too testing, because I think stamina might be a slight issue, but he brings sort of good novice form to the table, and I think he won his first 2 starts, in particular race at Huntingdon, which worked out very, very well. It's strong form. And although he's met with defeat both times since, it's been up against Champ, who's one of the leading sort of home-trained novices seen out this year. And I think it's a grounds for thinking he's actually shaped better than the Bear result both times. I think he's probably ahead of his mark. And around 20 to 1, I think he's overpriced at present, bearing in mind slight concerns about the chip were it testing. But as I say, 20 to 1, I think that's a good price. And we've been concentrating on the chasers so far. Shouldn't ignore the hurdles. Much more entries in some of these. And a horse I've always had a lot of time for is Canardia, who is a course and distance winner and ran a fine race from 5th in last year's Coral Cup. And he's holds an entry in that race again. As much as I've liked the horse, the main reason I'm flagging him up is he's switched yards to Willie Mullins, and there are loads of examples of horses who just show much improved form. He won valuable handicaps recently with Total Recall and Pair of Brown Eyes on their debut for the yard, and I think it's just about the most significant stable switch you can get. And around 16 to 1, were he to turn up in this race, I think he's very, very interesting. He's a horse you'd respect on his form for previous connections, and with the stable switch in the mix as well, I think 16 to 1 could look very big. So just rounding those up, it's Vindication in the Ultima, Grenadine in the Grand Annual, Dayran de Carjac should he turn up in the Brown Advisory Plate on the Thursday, and Canardia in the Coral Cup on Wednesday.